Hello, this is Marshall Limited. If you're asking why I'm doing a video just after the next one, it's most because I thought, why not? I had a pretty bad day. Well, I wouldn't say a bad day. It was a pretty bland day for all intents and purposes, but it could have definitely gone better. So, decided to relax by making some YouTube videos, which, since I no longer need to wear my headphones because it still works, it feels arguably better. How long should I do it for? The sub-regions. You'll think, what's the US runway has Sprangdahl and Ramstein. Alright. I'll see. This one, I'll end it when I feel like it. Make sure I'm actually recording. I am. Before we hit lift off and deal with the Armenia-Azeri border problem, we'll deal with this. We'll check on what our allies are doing. Kurdistan, the KDK. I actually looked up what their name will be in actually Kurdish. It'll be the same as Turkey and Greece. You already know Greece, the LDK, LDE, the LDE. Turkey, it will be the TSC, and Kurdistan, it will be the KDK. Anyway, Kurdistan is gathering intelligence on Iraqi Kurdish movements. Turkey is opening mental asylums. You're doing electronic investments. You're rehabilitating Coxey's offset. You're doing decentralized planning. Okay, when that happens. You're cracking down with Goyanis. You're expanding lead mining. You're getting a cult of personality because the Hungarian Revolution ain't happening this time. You're getting weapon reduction investments. You're getting yaks. And you're diversing the economy. While the other communist-esque movements in Arabia, God knows what you're doing. I hope you go down the Khalid Mujahideen coup. Hope that happens. China is talking about our Soviet brother. You're getting the Korean work spike. Hopefully you do the Korean War now, because even though you've lost the spirit of the Korean the 64th Aviation Corps, or I hope you do it. You're prone war criminals. I hope you do peaceful revolution, because it'd be a damn nightmare. I'll probably do it for you. Anyway, let's roll. Please, communist revolution. Please, communist revolution. Spain joins NATO. United Nations have gained another member state announced by Dag Hammarskjöld, who Spain has accepted being a member state of the UN. And the Congo crisis seems to have started with the Democratic Republic of Congo, led by the Katangan tribal, the Confederation of Associated Tribes of Katanga, led by Mose Tshishube, is trying to take over Belgian Congo. Let's see how they do it. You've done that. Can't do you yet, but soon. Transfer Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia. I'm not giving them Nakhchivan, even though big Armenia is a very lucrative regime. Remember the Republic of Artsakh. Wonder when these countries become independent. Should be eventually. You specifically. Well, I think this is actually France's. Yeah, it's France. The establishment of the Korean Workers' Party. And after they arrest Jomo Kenyatta, I have no idea which road they may take. They could actually get White Highland rule. That would be actually very good for us, because there's a communist revolution that happens after that. By the way, the wiki is basically on a dead website. It's most likely the mod's dead itself. But we pray that there will be a soon update. Establishment of the Korean Workers' Party. The tribal establishment of the Korean Workers' Party. The Korean Workers' Party has officially announced the following of the merger of the Workers' Party of North Korea, then the Workers' Party of South Korea. This latest act continues to consolidate the communist leadership around Kim Il-sung. This comes as a recent party Congress declares North Korea as the bastion of democracy and approved the constitution and establishing an independent united Korea within Seoul as its capital. With one party, it appears North Korea has finalized its efforts to lay the groundwork for uniting the Korean Peninsula under a communist rule. An Asian people's democracy. Please, in the fourth order. Thank you, Kim Il-sung. Also, the Korean name for the Korean Workers' Party is the Choson Rodongdang. Very funny, at least to me. But where were I? You don't need anything. Okay. Nagorno-Karabakh transferred to Armenia SSR, the Armenian Soviet Republic. In one of the biggest shake-ups seen in the Caucasus since the 1920s, the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh, has been transferred to the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic from the Azerbaijan Socialist Republic. The Soviets likely hoped the move would make the administration more streamlined in the region to prevent possible of future conflicts between Armenian and Azeri villages. These regions possess Armenian and Azeri villages with an Armenian majority. The experts believe that major shift could only have occurred with the approval of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. Good for Armenia. Yeah, it is actually very good for Armenia. Nagorno-Karabakh is historically a region full of Armenians. It should have been Armenian. It still should be Armenian. Go to hell, Azerbaijan, I guess. Deport Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic minority populations. Kyrgyzstan, having originated from the glorious Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic, has expressed particular favoritism towards his homeland. Minority populations living in Georgia, such as Chechens and English, who don't live in Georgia at all, they live north of Georgia, as well as Azeris and Armenians, which will be deported to respective areas as ensured the superiority of the native Georgians, excluding the Ossetians and Abkhaz, and I guess the Turks. County Trabzon is technically a region of, especially the region of Batumi, and possibly Hopsa, which are canonically would be parts of Georgia. Do the Turks go to Turkey? Anyway, you're removing police oversight, you're finishing those mental health students, you're doing the same as last time, you're repairing relations with Yugoslavia, you're expecting DJ's critique, which I don't really want, you're getting an army, you're getting electoral production, you're creating the State Protection Authority, you're closing religious organizations, you're getting a different way for Czechoslovakia, where you're getting a church-state agreement, and you are promoting the pioneer organization Ernst Fallmann. The pioneer organization, or the Ernst Fallmann Pioneers Organization. That's how you're supposed to say it. Okay. So who won the election now? Because definitely ain't Konrad Adenauer, it's Franz Blücher. Who the hell's Franz Blücher? No, the other two are Erich Ollenhauer. The coronation of the Saudi king and the death of the previous Saudi king. The death of Ibn Saud. The Saudi government has announced the death of Ibn Saud. Today, the founder of the modern Saudi state passed away from a heart attack overnight in his house in Taif. Ibn Saud was born in 1875 and ruler of Najd. However, in his teenage year, he and his family fled as exiles when his family rivals, the Hashids, conquered Najd by 1902. Ibn Saud led a band of relatives and followers to reconquer his family's hometown of Riyadh. This led to a campaign against the Rashidis, which saw Ibn Saud successfully liberate his family's homeland while driving the Ottomans out of the region. He embraced the ancient alliance between his family and the Wahhabi sect, which later became Wahhabism, with Wahhabi supporters in the form of unifying ideology. Devoted soldier Ibn Saud was able to eventually conquer the Rashidis in 1922. He solidified his position then as a world leader by conquering Hejaz from the Hashemites in 1925, and in 1932 claimed the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. His control of the annual Hajj pilgrimage, which gave him and the Wahhabists prestige across the Muslim world, but the discovery of crude oil in the late 1930s would provide unprecedented wealth to the kingdom. Ibn Saud used Wahhabism to unite the tribes of Arabia, and the oil wealth allowed them to all subsidize to secure loyalty from his subjects. His impressive military victories and combined tactical victory as he navigates regional tensions to secure a close partnership with the United States. Questions will be asked if his successor could maintain the Saudi alliance with the Wahhabists, and if they continue the court of Americans or to will ensure they will be protected from the threats of the kingdom, both external and internal. Prince Saud, his son, considered a favorite to take the throne. May he rest in peace. Coronation of King Saud. He must have won. Saud bin Abdulaziz Al Saud was coronated earlier today in Saudi Arabia. He was a tenuous responsibility of succeeding his father, the legendary King Ibn Saud, who founded the modern Saudi state. Where his father united the kingdom of Bedouin chieftains, the new king must contend with regional instability, ideological threats, international intrigue. Saudi Arabia controls huge oil reserves, and the Saudi king must contend with much of the just organizing the annual pilgrimage and securing loyalty from his subjects. In addition, the relations with the Wahhabi ulama must continue to preserve the nurtured, and as losing their support risk major internal instability. In this opening speech of his people and the world at large, the new king announced the new council of ministers. In addition, and he said his reign will not be focused on military conflict, but in ending poverty, expanding education, healthcare, and securing a strong military for defense, and on implementing Sharia to all within the kingdom. King Saud had been appointed king crown prince and was well prepared by his father to rule as a desert ruler of Arabia. However, some worry handling the country growing oil wealth, deal with the different ideologies flourishing in the Arab world. I can speak today. May be too much for the new king. Time will tell whether the new king can rise to the challenge he faces in a world vastly different from the one he grew up with. Long live the king. Also, watch the new Colonel Cam video on his playthrough as Soviet Union. I believe mine is better. Anyway. You're getting links for the Eastern Bloc. Halfway there, baby. You're still learning lessons from the US. Partner you're thinking of. And you're removing Prince Suvarnabhong from power. Get early hard disks. What's happening in the south? You're urbanizing. You're getting Marine Force. You're getting a Navy. You're reopening schools. Same as before. Same as before. Same as before. Same as before. A Swedish nuclear program. Sweden recently established a Department of Nuclear Physics to explore issues related to developing nuclear energy. However, it is clear the recent policy debate and domestic project being carried out, the department may be also contesting research on a nuclear weapon program for the country. There is increasing public uproar in opposition to acquiring such weapons, but the military continues to insist that weapons are the only way to save Sweden. The government could not take this opportunity to embrace no nuclear program and firmly cites recent events for a nuclear energy program. But why? Like, literally, why? I don't think there's a communist path for Sweden. Anyway, more important things. Tito embraces Georgia's critique. Over the past few months, President Milovan Dija published almost 20 articles in the official Yugoslav Communist newspaper critiquing the Soviet model. He began writing articles under the encouragement of Yugoslav leader Joseph Tito. However, the critiques, although anti-Soviet, advocate for an internal, more democratic system of party rule. Dija has gone as far as to suggest the one-party state may be a mistake, suggesting the leader be retired to prevent corruption and open paths for others. This part of critique led to the Central Committee meeting with several members that advocate for Georgia to be purged. After consultation, Joseph Tito and his allies decided instead that the critique for Georgia have merit and the party will accept them. This decision keeps Georgia in power and suggests new reforms are on the way. What will come of this? We will never know. After deporting minorities like Donald Trump, thank you for telling us the Chagos deal is dumb and stupid, because it is. Don't debate me on this. It is. As any military analyst will tell you, no, we deport Azeris from the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic, and also from Kars and all the Azeris in Azerbaijan will be kicked out to Armenia. Also, fun fact, the central region of Armenia is called Kirovabad. Very funny. Like how Stalinabad is the Shumbay. I love these Soviet-style names, like Leninakad. The most obscure ones are the more funny ones. Stalino. Oh, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna know which one that is. Gorky. Sizlotsk. You're getting Hiroshima. Or Hiroshima, sorry. Which is part of Navio paths. You haven't done the 1955 election because it's 1953, but why say that? Oh, it's there. Just rebuild stuff after it's been bombed. Soon. There you have non-aggression pact with Poland. The Korean War. We are opposed to the line of compromise with imperialism. At the same time, we cannot tolerate the practice of only shouting against imperialism, but in actual fact, being afraid to fight it. Kim Il-sung. Check if my recording is going well. It is. War never changes. We'll see when we win it. Okay, that's 3 units. Three of the best. I think. Honestly, I have no clue. I'm saying three of the ones I know. The Korean War. Communist forces of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea have launched a surprise attack against the pro-capitalist Republic of Korea. We will end up the victor if this struggle remains to be seen. Everything is going according to plan. What the hell are you, wolf? Hey, finally moving the front. Before the UN boys get here, let's go. Tap phone. Sound like a type of disease. Before Seoul, the Republic of Korea is now on the brink of collapse as its capital, Seoul, has just been successfully invaded by the advancing North Korean troops. North Korea, utilizing the tactics similar to Blitzkrieg, has used their Soviet-made tanks to forcefully advance themselves towards Seoul, with heavy casualties left from the South Koreans since they lack any sort of anti-tank weaponry or tanks at all. The South Koreans, in the effort to hold the North advance, have blown up the bridges within the Han River, trapping thousands of soldiers and civilians who desperately need evacuation and medical attention. This event of the Korean War shows weakness to the American-backed South Korea, and observers speculate that this trend continues. Capitulation is expected to happen within months. Onward to Busan. Because technically nowhere is saying Busan is Pusan. Azeris deported from Nagorno-Karabakh. Reports from the Soviet Union indicate massive deportation along the way in the Caucasus. Azeri populations in the Nagorno-Karabakh, or Artsakh, being removed from the region. Soviet officials are commenting on the matter, but it appears that to be a move meant to calm potential unrest in the region, as the region are eventually to be integrated into Armenia. Analysts note the deportations were likely planned and directed and approved by the highest levels of the Soviet Union. Historically, the region has been continuous incidents of violence between Armenians and Azeri populations living side by side for generations. Moving Azeris may be the final step forcefully establishing harmony. Another deportation. This is a true fact. The only way for peace in the Caucasus is with a bit of deportations. Sorry if that offends you. Prepare the Central Asian population transfer. The steps of the Central Asia is not heavily populated, and we should take advantage to transfer or unwanted individuals to those areas, where they will never be able to escape. Taking your goddamn time, lads. Get to the front already. Korean War of the Soviet Union, one incident. Okay, I'm going to put a save here just in case I need to. There's a terrorist save scum. It seems they've done nothing, but. UN boys have arrived. Because they started appearing after 3 days. Hopes for democracy and civil liberties in the Korean Peninsula have once more been ignited. The UN coalition composed of the United States and their allies managed to retake Seoul from the KPD, the Korean People's Army, stationed to garrison occupy the city. The victory, however, wasn't easy. The Korean People's Army has set up defensive fortifications at nearly every corner of the city, with barricades and anti-tank weaponry riddled all over Seoul. Nevertheless, the coalition forces were able to pierce through every resistance kit the Communist People's Army placed on them, and finally retaken Seoul from South Korea. This victory has sent a clear message to Pyongyang: the fight for Korea Peninsula will soon come to their shores and their land tainted with blood and despair. What? And whatever that was. Aramco strikes. I hope they go down the right path. East Turkestan requires intervention. The Chinese government continues to put pressure on our nation both politically. Whoa! East Turkestan requires intervention. The Chinese government continues to put pressure on our nation both politically and on the borders with troops in order for our regime to survive and for the dreams of our people to achieve. We must request intervention from the Soviet Union. Soviet supporters will be able to defeat whatever machines are being plotted by the Chinese and local sympathizers in the region. If the Soviet Union accepts the request for intervention, it would have the love of our people and would no doubt receive Soviet need. Intervene in Xinjiang. Soviet intervention in East Turkestan. The Soviet Union announced that it would be intervening in favor of the East Turkestan Republic. It won't be the ETR, it'll be something in Uyghur. I need to look that up. I'm pretty sure there's not an English translation. The Soviet government noted the Chinese have failed the people of the region, and the only way forward will be the people of the East Turkestan Republic to go their own path. Soviet support greatly bolstered the legitimacy of the ETR, and its leaders were quick to praise the Soviets for their stance. Soviet forces on the border are said to be mobilizing, with rumors that some of the units may have already crossed into the East Turkestan Republic. Soviets warned that any military moves by the Chinese against the East Turkestan Republic will be dealt with severely. The Chinese government has yet to issue a statement following this dramatic Soviet announcement. Spider's Gambit. So they're probably going to get that. Hopefully. I'm going to check what Mom was playing about. I'll be back soon. I'm back. But luckily, munching sounds or whatever it was me eating. My tea was ready. Nice delicious meatballs and pasta, which I served up. And you gotta love meatballs. That's why I maximize it when my mom told me to serve it up myself. The Saudi Aramco strike. Around 15,000 workers in Saudi oil industry joined a strike for better working conditions. The Saudi king has ordered the Royal Commission inquiry in this mark as a radical transformation in labour relations. In the kingdom, Saudi workers were said to have been inspired by foreign Arab workers who pointed out their poor conditions in comparison to the vastly superior conditions the American managers enjoyed in the kingdom. Bad conditions and refusal for Aramco to meet workers' demands has driven anti-Americans as the workers believe evil American-owned companies' actions reflected the United States thought of the workers. Also radicalizing the workers was in the striking was recent inflation and opium and spending by the royal family. To coordinate these strikes, a workers' committee was established and the unity of the Saudi workers beyond the tribal bonds is seen as a major threat to the Saudi royal family. The Saudi king will have decided on whether to give the workers' demands after a few concessions or reject the workers' demands out. He gave an annual in to all the demands may make the workers happy, but emboldening them to make more demands and empower the influence of foreign workers. In addition, the United States will not be happy if Aramco loses the strike. Supporting Aramco and rejecting workers will help our standing of the United States, but infuriate workers, so perhaps a compromise will be best route. In the long term, the government must consider how to control the influence of the labor of the citizens of Saudi Arabia. Will this increase oil prices? Who can truly say? The Politburo has directed relevant agencies to begin preparation for a population transfer in the Soviet Central Asia. The movement of population, especially in the has raised the issue of potential future ethnic conflicts in the area. To restore ethnic homogeneity within the strengthen the Soviet Socialist republics. In addition, there are a minority of populations which can be shifted to areas where they form a majority. These operations require security branches to work closely with other relevant state agencies to ensure a smooth and swift series of operations. What to do? Finally, establish a socialist Austria. The Austrians are the other three Allied powers representing us for Austrian independence. However, we feel the Austrians should remain under our grasp for a while longer. They being responsible for two wars, we were not like a third. I might need to intervene more hackery, if the word is. Bug. Fun fact, you can hack while having a plate on your computer. It's a skill. Probably a bad skill, but it's a skill. need to check on that. But before, yes. Is this cheating? Yes, and very blatant. But I want to see the workers of Korea liberated, so you got to do some bad things to see the world be at peace. After all, making the world peace formula doesn't means you have to break some command and control eggs. That doesn't make sense. I bet someone will get it, but I'm pretty sure I said it completely and utterly wrong. Again. PDG. We all have to do our part. So they're planning to do fourth Markov Zafadist, which is not this guy, out of the body. Tag Jap, they're that peaceful revolution. While in the process, let's check on East Turkestan. That's not a tag. Tag sick. That was not my question mark button, but it still worked as a question mark. Okay, this is a very common bug. Because even though we've got the peace stolen and jazz, it still won't, do its thing and work. So I have to do a bit more. I hope this doesn't actually crash my game. If it does, it'll be very bad. But focus dot no checks. Tag solve. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. It didn't crash. would redoing focus start, no checks, instantly cancel that thing out? Because if it does, that would be very bad. I'm gonna try it. If it does cancel it out, I'm gonna go back and fix it. Yeah, it cancels the whole thing out. So focus dot no checks. That being its only actual path, that should go. It should go down that way. You're doing that, so that's fine. You're civil disobedience. I made you your limited intervention. You'll start launching your second 5-year plan. You're getting agricultural stuff. You're doing infrastructure. You're getting the steel plant, the Galati steel plant. You're removing cults from schools. So, churches, you mean. You're getting stars and infrastructure. You're getting the people's democracy. You're getting the action rose. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. So wait for that thing to finish and hopefully nothing insane happens while yeah, you have no supply, but Korea has fallen. Well, Seoul has fallen for the third time, which is historically accurate. Yeah, third battle of Seoul. Tide shift in the Korean Peninsula. Therefore, the intervention of the People's Republic of China, they haven't even intervened, has brought about the fall of Seoul once more. Reclaiming it from the UN coalition forces. Coalition, surprised and exhausted from the battle, have undergone a mandatory evacuation of the Seoul metropolitan area towards other cities in the south, but are demoralized and are incapable of fighting at this time. This defeat will play a critical role in deciding the fate of the Korean Peninsula, and so far observers believe the coalition of China and North Korea will most likely win. However, some say others have doubts of the prediction since numerous reports indicate the Chinese forces are exhausted and overwhelmed by war, and it will take time and effort to regain their strength, which may open up opportunity of a counterattack by UN forces. Onward to Pusan once more. American proposal to expand CENTO. The United States has recently proposed expanding the Central Treaty Organization, CENTO. Is designed to contain communist influence in the Middle East. Its members enjoy increased bilateral ties and better access to Western aid. The American proposal would seek to bring in more East states and strengthen the CENTO to face not just communist threat but also radical ideologies in the region. Its legitimacy as a regional alliance will be strengthened. Pro-American Arab states will be targeted to bring more Arab states to the organization. Bringing more Arab states would crush accusations. The organization is not represented in the region. Interesting. Soviet Austria, yeah! Make a save, just in case I want to go back and play it. Probably not. Austria divided. Instead of the agreement reached, the Soviet Union has created a puppet state in the Austrian zone, which Britain, France, and the United States have now doing the same in their region, just like Germany, the Republic of Austria, and the Republic of the Austrian Democratic Republic. Eastern Austria is liberated from capitalism. Now under Johann Kopling and the Kommunistische Party Österreichs, or Austrian Communist Party. He also denounced the division for some god-unknown reason, even though it's a very genius idea. There'll also be an Austrian Stasi, too. How's the Republic of Austria doing? You don't even have a focus rate. Depressing. Led by the Österreichische Volksparty, or Austrian People's Party. Communist Party of Austria, Austrian People's Party, led by Julius Schwab. Avril Schwab. Anyway, back to actually important things like the economy. Trial of the 14. 14 high-ranking individuals within the party charger seems not be working. That's because one of the wires is plugged on the cube. Everything's working. Following high-ranking members of the party accused of treason and crimes against the state, including Molotov, Mikoyan, Vorshilov, and other lower individuals of the Soviet Republic's apparatus, all will be tried according to the laws and sentenced to death. So before we all blast off, Turkey is getting Comic-Con aid. And that was Kurdish sent this is Turkey. They're encouraging leading and sentencing. You're sending guns to North Korea. You're getting the second part of your plan. Did it last time, getting agricultural investment. Same as last time. 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 Most of you are doing the same as last time. You're developing modern education systems. Busan. Congo's dead. Or at least dead for a bit longer. There will be an insurgency in Congo. You do not know what the plan's for. You are... No, idea what you're happening. No idea what you're happening. You take control of the region, so. I hope the action group wins. There are actually better options. I hope this works. Anyway, more important things to do is trial to 14. Allow Shepin into the Presidium. Alexander Shelepin, first secretary of the Commissar, or the All-Union Leftist Young Communist League, he has proven to be an asset in the party, especially in the education of our young people. He shall be carried to Presidium for his faithful devotion to the party and its ideals. The peaceful revolution of Third West. Before Busan and Trial 14. Today, Moscow 14 high-ranking Communist Party officials were tried for treason and counter-revolutionary activities against the government of Comrade Stalin. These officials include Vyacheslav Molotov, first deputy chairman of the Council of the Ministers, Anatas Mikulyan, Minister of Foreign Trade, Marshal Clement Voroshilov, and Simeon Budyani, Arsen Severev, Minister of Finance, as well as a number of first secretaries of the party in Armenia, Georgia, and the Finnish Soviet Socialist Republic, because it's still around. Yeah, I think it doesn't get dissolved till. I think Khrushchev dissolved it, and since Khrushchev isn't around anymore, the Finnish Soviet Socialist Republic, the Finno-Karelian Soviet Socialist Republic, still exists. The Moscow City and the Regional Committee and the Central Committee. In addition, Peter Pospelov, in-chief of Pravda, was tried. All 14 officials were sentenced to death by firing squadrons. This shows Stalin's control over government. The traitors must pay. Before Busan, the capitulation of the Republic of Korea is coming sooner than expected. North Koreans are able to break into Busan perimeter. The only line of defense in South Korea is only major cities left, as the rest has been occupied by North Korea, as the writing in the remainder of UN coalition forces are evacuating to the island of Jeju, the only island that hasn't been touched by North Korean forces. However, seeing this, North Korea has initiated efforts in placing long-range artillery that is able to target Jeju Island. So there is expecting mass casualties for the inhabitants of the island. While pursuing gone on, it is expected North Korea will claim entirety of the peninsula and South Korea will merely be reduced to a government in exile, similar to the government's nation occupied by the Nazis in World War II, and victory imminent. Peaceful revolution is about to happen. Please say you're finished. No, you're not. Okay, I need to fix that so it doesn't go completely insane. I mean, technically it's the same focus, so the victory over Tinto in the 1953 election is nothing insane. So the Americans occupied Jeju. So Republic of Korea collapsed, Treaty of Seoul. North Korea has defeated South Korea. The North Communist Korean forces today defeating the capitalist planet states of the Republic of Korea, calling it a re-annexation, victory for communism. The American occupation of Jeju. I swear I had more meatballs. Jeju, right. The United States confirmed that it would remain the administrative power in Jeju. The American military believes the presence in Jeju will save the last bastion of democratic Korea protected. Although South Korea and the Japanese government both welcomed the news that there are reports of public protests accused the United States of expanding the colonial regime in the region. The Communist Koreans and Chinese, they both condemned the American imperialism. American politicians largely welcomed the move as a necessary, although some did question the continued commitment of American resources to a lost Korea. Interesting. And if I'm correct, South Korea is in Samoa. What the hell is Samoa? Why did they change that? That's Tonga. Oh no, yeah, they're in Samoa. Those are going insane, lads. Almost there, finishing that. You're deploying advisors. Conservative officers have been sidelined, sadly. The auction of the king's possessions. The new regime in Egypt has quickly decided to auction off the king's vast collection of treasures. Including his 7-piece bedroom suite, amongst his most famous possessions, was one of the rare 1933 double eagle coins. Attracting much interest was the revelation of Fruck owned one of the largest collections of pornography in the world, as he possessed a vast collection numbering into hundreds of thousands of pornographic photographs, postcards, calendars, playing cards, watches, I didn't even know you could get pornographic watches. I didn't know you could get pornographic glasses. I didn't know you could get pornographic corkscrews. I don't know how you're supposed to get on a corkscrew. And so on. Folks' obsession with collecting also range in diamonds, dogs, stamps, rubies, Fabergé eggs, still don't know what the point of them are, ancient Tibetan coins, medieval suits of armour, aspirin bottles, for reasons unknown, probably medical, razor blades, paper clips, Geiger counters. I think you only needed one of those. At Kabak Palace, they discovered that Freud collected 2,000 silk shirts, 10,000 silk ties, 30 garments studded with golden walking sticks, and one autographed portrait of Adolf Hitler. He truly was a mad lad. Countdown Killer need to make a video of him. Need to check if it's still recording. We are. There you go on a bit more. Well done, lads. I get back to training for the eventual War of the East. War of the West, sorry. There we go. Since you all needed that, I can now do focus.no checks. Disabled, so you can actually go down your own focus tree, for heaven's sake, and get common aid. I've got another ally in the common form. Program of General Transition Towards Socialism for the first 5-year plan. Korea, what's your first thing to do? Launch sweeping purges. Makes sense. We're getting American protection. And give Kosygin in a place in government. Should give us the option for if there is an update coming, which doubt it, counting a lot of the Cold War community believes the mod is dead. At least the ones on Reddit I've seen. When one guy asked 2 days ago about if the mod was dead, basically everyone said yes. Please make it an option for us to choose if we want to annex Mongolia, because personally I would annex Mongolia. The Republic of South Korea in Samoa, as I said before. It's in Samoa, if I could ever find goddamn Samoa. Yeah, Pagu Pagu. And Apia. It also completely destroyed the focus tree. The Republic of Korea opened its first session in the new assembly in Samoa, marking the beginning of the new government in exile. Following communist takeover of South Korea, the session saw leading military and civic leaders promising to help settle refugees in Samoa and begin preparing for a campaign of national liberation. Much thanks was given to the United States for facilitating the establishment of a capital city in Samoa. Although American allies were quick to congratulate the Korean government, the news is being widely mocked in social states. The Communist Korean government condemned the Samoan regime as an American public with no comprehension in reality. Unexpected. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure no one was expecting a Korean Samoa. The Rock James is now Samoan. If anyone knows what the Samoan name for The Rock James is, that would be, please type it in the comment section because it will be very, very funny. Before we go, check on everyone's doing. You're opening correctional facilities in Van. You're allowing controlled public criticism. You're deploying advisors, even though I'm pretty sure the war is now over. Although you can still technically do that. Bulgaria, you're getting Air Force. You're doing a second 5-year plan. You're ending religious persecution. You're rehabilitating. Well, mainly historical figures. You're opening forced labor camps. You're establishing the Presidium. You're denouncing your own division. Oh yeah, there's a West Vienna. There's the Waldheiner Posies. The newspaper is called the News Deutschland or New Deutschland. So you're getting death squads, that's a very interesting turn, and you're beginning your first 6-year plan. I guess East Turkestan is militarizing society. Kolpinnig denounces Austrian division. Yesterday, the General Secretary, Johann Kolpinnig, released a statement criticizing the West Austrian government for denying the Austrian workers the right to choose a true Austrian state. Kolpinnig has called for an election in both states to decide whether or not to unify under a neutral workers' state. This request was widely condemned as an act of political failure designed to destabilize West Austria and give East Austria more high ground. Well, non-transparent costing statement was already seen as a rise in far-left activism in West Austria. The end of McCarthyism. The Army McCarthy hearings ended with neither side achieving a victory. The Army was able to prove Roy Cohn had interfered in Army affairs, but Senator McCarthy was exonerated. The Army Secretary was found to have interfered in recent investigations from the Army Signal Corps laboratories in New Jersey. However, publicly hearing and media coverage was presented as a public of a very unpleasant image of Senator McCarthy. Many now see him as a bully and a spinster of lies, and the reputation of the senator and his supporters are all at an all-time low. Interesting. Get the dragon off, because it sounds cool. Interesting. Warhammer proceeds. So it's a mass purge of minor officers of the Nazi regime. For 3,442 Nazi war criminals and domestic atrocity criminals are on trial today in wartime. These individuals are charged with a variety of crimes, including crimes against humanity, mass murder, war crimes, and many other crimes. The defendants are amongst the last of the Nazi war criminals who have left to be tried for their crimes. The trial will be carried out in quick succession due to the large number of individuals on trial. Several independent reporters are claiming the trials are not fair and being conducted too quickly, and most of the defendants are only getting a few minutes on trial. Most troubling of these reports is a 14-year-old boy called Hoi4 CWIC, who has been sentenced to 20 years, while the prosecutors has responded by stating that they are Nazis and Nazis do not have rights. It's a very leftist thing. Leftist response, even if it was a 14-year-old boy. Another prosecutor claimed that it is the grace that the enemy of the People's Republic gets a trial at all, and end to a dark chapter in human history. Get on my screen. Let's roll. Well done, you got a government position, my friend. Finally. Send Central Asian Armenians to Armenia. People of Armenian descent living in Central Asia will be moved back to their home in the Armenian Socialist Republic, where they can live with their people. The free anti-campaign is being happening in China. You're establishing a writers' union. You're getting tied with India. You're still asking for American protection, even though I don't think you should. And somehow, the known Japanese collaborator Joseph Laurel has become the leader of, and became the leader of the Philippines. I have no idea how that happened. Well, he was until the 1953 election where Raymond Magsaysay taken over. Very interesting stuff. Get high program and stuff. And communist Malaya has sadly fallen. But Burma is communist now, which I didn't even notice. About the communist by Burma. Found out the funny tag. The National Unity Front, or whatever its name was, has taken over, and now there's Prime Minister Phang Thong. This is going to be strange. Can't wait for the. Frankly, I noticed before I got the newspaper from the New York Times, or Pravda from my account, where it will become the Democratic Republic of Burma. I don't think the Yunnan Anti-Communist National Salvation Army will be liking this very much. You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. Great drought. I need to give out. Hawk's eye on you now. Service flag officer defects in Australia. Joseph Stone's death and seen the political power structure of the Soviet Union morph and change. Firstly, Stone's not dead. B, it hasn't really changed. I mean, a bunch of famous figures have now died, but I wouldn't say it's changed significantly. Then, a colonel of the secret Soviet police has seen his burying man lose the game, and has fled to Australia as a result. After promising Australian spy agency ACO Soviet espionage in exchange for political silence, it sparked one controversy after another. Dramatic events of violence and economic demonstrations in Sydney Airport has been redistributed around the road as Petrov's wife, Evdokia, were forcibly escorted to an aircraft back to the Soviet Union before being seized at the Darwin airport after refueling. Cross-examination of the Royal Commission involving the LLP party leader Dr. H.V. Abbott. It alleges that the judge of the commission was biased towards the Menzies government in the wake of the unprecedented denial to the right to appear. The Australian embassy in Moscow has since been expelled, while Soviet diplomats in Canberra have been urgently recalled. The Soviets and Australian relation revered. You're getting AKM1s. You're fighting the Zacharidis University of Science and Culture. Very subtle. You're getting an Air Force still. Same things happening to you, same things happening to you. You're staying the same, you're staying the same, you're staying the same, you're beginning reconstruction. And you're staying the same, and you're rebuilding like industry. And you're staying the same. The African Socialist Party. The Free Anti-Campaign. In Manchuria, Mao has launched a campaign to get rid of corrupt or otherwise pro-Taiwan elements inside China. Focus on former Kuomintang members, bureaucrats, officials who are not official party members. The party members were corrupt. The antis were anti-corruption, anti-waste, anti-bureaucracy. The Free Anti-Campaign dished out extreme harsh punishments, including torture, and they all found guilty with their confessed or unconfessed crimes had to pay fines to the government. Helmsman of the nation has claimed time and time again that this is a major measure that is necessary to rid China of corrupt members, those that embezzle and stagnate the Chinese economy and their own selfish gain. Interesting. I'll send some units. Of the Free Republic of Congo out. Or why is it doing Western alignment? Oh damn it, now I've sent 5 years. bunch of them just collapse. That country's gonna immediately like die. Like no cap. Can I recall? No, God. Lads, just go into some jungle area and hope you don't die. Transferring Central Asian Armenians to the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic, there is a robust although small Armenian community across Central Asia. Some arrived goes back as the mid-19th century. There are those who sell even earlier establishing themselves as traders. However, there's the slowly growing into a recognizable minority community in the region, raising tensions as locals are said to be resentful of the economic status and alien culture. To prevent potential problems and prevent ethnic tensions, the state has approved plans to transfer Armenians in Central Asia to the Armenian Socialist Republic. This operation not only achieves our goal of promoting harmony in Central Asia, but also helps unify the Armenian population. Despite these positives, there are reports of Central Asian Armenians are upset and claim the lack of any familiarity with the Armenian Socialist Republic. Complain. Hey, fun fact, if we could have created I probably will no check and get this because this sounds kind of funny. The Korean Soviet Socialist Republic. Pedro Gromyko and Ponomarenko. Andrei Gromyko and Panteleimon Monomarenko are two individuals within the Belarusian Soviet Socialist Republic, heavily involved and heavily corrupt. Their actions at present will not be tolerated into our apparatus. The sabotage of the Army McCarthy hearing. The McCarthy hearing has been suspended after further notice today, as recent evidence showing the incompetence of various military officials in said hearing, virtually giving them no right to judge just McCarthy, one of Washington's most prominent senators who has come under controversy for releasing documents pertaining to the alleged communist officials in the United States government. This development is a major victory for the senator, as he finally continues his so-called crusade against communism, or CAC, a phrase coined by his various supporters. Observers say that should McCarthy continue such crusade, he will be looking at not only a more anti-communist America, but a more anti-democratic America, a dramatic end for American political saga. So basically, McCarthy's being Trump right now, and he doesn't get to come up as that Trump did. Debate if that's a good thing in the comments, please, because I probably won't look at it. Alright, Drought in Kurdistan. Drought sweeps Kurdistan. The Kurdish Democratic Republic is facing massive drought across its territory. There are fears that if the drought does not end soon, the country may severe food shortage and starvation. The KDR, it would be the KDK. The economy is largely agricultural, meaning the crisis threatens to cause an economic depression. KDK is calling for socialist allies to step in and provide support for its fighting state. However, the crisis is being seen as a confirmation by critics who argue the KDK as it stands is not sustainable. May Allah protect them. Before we start, let's see, you are still doing the same thing. Same. Right now you're getting a land force. You're purging corrupt party members. You're doing heavy industry. You're doing infrastructure. You're incorporating the church into the regime. You're purging Gottwald. You're doing the same. You're drafting a constitution. You're doing the same. And you're getting heavy civil investment. You're growing disillusional with Stalin. You're forbidding waste. You're doing a 3-year plan. You're preserving the democratic process. And God knows what you're doing. I've got some spies. Someone in Thailand. Check on what on earth they're doing down there. Gromyko and Ponomarenko purge. I think this meal is done. After the trial of the 14, 2 more high-ranking officials, Andrei Gromyko and Pantian and Moraменko, then were executed. Gromyko, former permanent representative of the United Soviet Socialist Republic to the UN, was accused of espionage for Western powers due to his relation with high-ranking diplomats and ambassadors in the United Kingdom. Ponomarenko, former Minister of Procurement and the First Secretary of the Kazakh Communist Party, was accused of corruption and financial abuses after being audited and finding that he was building a villa with party money. Both were shot by firing squads outside Moscow. The international community, especially Western eyes, are particularly shocked by the death of Gromyko, a beloved friend and a foe in the UN. Good riddance. The Globsova affair. There have been internal reports indicating that Georgy Malenkov, chairman of Council of Ministers, has been living with a woman named Globsova, but has not been legally married to him. This will be investigated thoroughly. I wish I could redraw my troops, but I can't. Mongolian disillusionment with Stalin. Also, Iran nationalizes oil. They're calling for a new election too. This is the Project Ajax. God knows what's going to happen. Mongolian disillusionment with Stalin. Under the boots of Stalin and its communist puppet in Mongolia, the people of the region have suffered greatly since its establishment in 1921. The Mongolian People's Republic has been plagued with purges and massacres, completely uprooting the Mongolian people's way of life, having devastated impact on the population. Despite claiming to represent people, the Mongolian People's Party have forced the people into collectivizing their livestock while practically eradicating the Buddhist religion. Their desecrated temples remain scorched reminders of lost times. Discontent with Soviet rule has been growing, and the population has grown increasingly unhappy with communist rule, although not a threat to Soviet yet. Rising anti-Soviet sentiment throughout Mongolia is a danger Stalin cannot afford to ignore. Interesting news. Iran nationalizes oil. The election of Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran marks the tension within the United Kingdom and the United States, as he long spoke of nationalizing liquid gold once the opportunity granted. After pushing the Majlis towards the agreement, the once radical idea seems more likely than not. Finally, the Anglo-Persian oil company was nationalized, pushing out Anglo influence over the vast resources of Iran. The United Kingdom has shown open resentment, threatening Iran if the decision is not reversed. Regardless of Britain's stance, Iran stands firm in the face of crisis. The UK will calm down, right? Probably not. And God save the monarchists right against the Islamist state in Iran. Attempt to normalize Greek relations. And you're renaming Turkish towns, so thankfully we'll have Constantinople back on the scene. You're expanding the Marines, you're allowing free speech, you're increasing Soviet trade, you're getting the Romanian People's Army, you're achieving early industrial goals, you're doing the same, you're imprisoning Cardinal Stefan Brzezinski, you're regenerating Eastern Bloc trade terms, and you're still doing the same thing. Clement Gottwald purged. Clement Gottwald, president of Czechoslovakia and senior member of the Communist Party, has been purged by the head of the party, Rudolf Slansky. Although the two men were close collaborators following the institution of communist rule in the country, both were said to be trying to consolidate power over the other. In addition, there has been increasing pressure from Moscow for the party to purge traitors and nationalists who undermine the party. Slansky managed to act first. During a recent meeting of the Central Committee, he accused Gottwald of Kurdish nationalism, dragging his feet on implementing nationalization and sympathizing with enemies of the revolution. Gottwald was unable to rally support, and was taken into custody by the police. In address to the nation, Rudolf Slansky announced he had saved the country from a betrayer and that he would take the role of president. Interesting. There we can actually see all the members of the Common Forum. So there's us, Germany, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Turkey, Greece, Yugoslavia, Austria, and Uzbekistan and Kurdistan. Senate censures McCarthy. The Senate recently voted to censure Senator McCarthy. He is accused of bullying tactics not befitting of a senator and of twisting the truth for his own personal political benefit. The vote came following the failed appearance on the Army McCarthy hearing. This, combined with his other failed investigations, incendiary accusations, have accused both his political and public allies to distance themselves from him. The fact that many of his fellow Republicans supported vote shows a bipartisan rejection of the senator. Change in the wind. No. The event hasn't popped up. Appoint Zhukov as the Defense Ministry. Marshal of the Soviet Union, Dmitry Zhukov, has emerged as a great hero, especially during the Great Patriotic War. In recognition of his achievement, he will be appointed to the highest rank in the United Soviet Socialist Republic, the Minister of Defense, for his stature. Finally, even Stalin proposed successor has been caught up in allegations. Georgy Malenkov, chairman of the Council of Ministers and secretary to the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, has been accused of adultery, corruption, and sexual predation in a scandal known as the Globutsova affair. After his supposed wife, Malenkov met Valeria Globtsova, daughter of State Senate Councillor of the Russian Empire in Nizhny Novgorod, now called Gorky, in 1920. They have lived together since then, but have never officially registered their union. Thus, they are not technically married. Being in such a high position within government, this sort of activity was not tried by Malenkov, has been tried and found guilty. What shall his punishment be? So I could just send him to Siberia, which, to be honest, since he's been having this affair since 1920, I personally would just send him to Siberia. It's been older than the actual state, so, and he hasn't even seen his wife since around then, so you can really tell. Throw him to a labor camp would just weaken us, or apparatus, so that's probably a bad thing. And if we execute him, Maoism will go up, and I don't want Maoists in the Soviet Union, so just assign him a government job in Siberia. You're expanding pipelines in Vietnam. Thank you. And thankfully none of our units are dead. Not that whole debacle. And finally, the white peace in Vietnam has occurred. However, Pathet Lao is now taken over Laos. Send a different service by Hanoi. Check them out. Things are not going well in Burma, it seems. You are fostering your revolutionary spirit, but it seems that it's supposed to be Chin, not Chan. Which, even though thing on the thing called it, the Chin has separated, and same has the Kachin Independence Army. So things are not going specifically well. Also, the Karenni Army split off. Now, the Karen National Liberation Army was technically separate for all this time, same as the Mon National Liberation Army, so I can't really blame around with that. I hope they don't collapse in on themselves soon. Please keep it up. Fan King Phaoton. Fun fact, Fan King Phaoton is also a Japanese collaborator. Just for you to know. Also, there was a surprising big, well, not Marxist-Leninist, but socialist support. Red socialist. I think that's red. I hope for Matruda to win. I hope the Parvani government is restored in Iran. Yeah! Got Constantinople back! And Smyrna! And Adrianopolis, or Anatoliki Franki, and the lesser known but still interesting Zachariah Doropis. Dorothy. Alright, I need it. So, contribute here. So, that's cool. The Greek renaming of Turkish cities. Following the occupation of Izmir, Edirne, and Istanbul after the partition of Turkey and the Democratic Republic of Greece, the LDE announced it will be renamed cities. Izmir will be returned to its Greek name of Smyrna. Edirne is now an Adrianopolis, while Istanbul will become Constantinople. The Greek government will claim this return to the historic norm, and that for centuries the Greek islands have been occupied by Turkish surveyors. Many Greeks welcome the is international concern over the fate of the Turks is still in the city. Historic moment. You're still normalizing relations. You're forcing Marco Vatsiev this to leave. That happened a long time ago. You're expanding pipelines. I've been watching you like a hawk. You're still doing your thing. 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 You're rehabilitating veterans of the Spanish Civil War. You're requesting East German industry aid. You're still doing your thing. You're still doing your thing. And you're condemning Chinese revisionism. You're improving Sino-Mongolian relations. You're doing the first 5-year plan. You're rebuilding Pyongyang steel production. You're getting the Treaty of San Francisco, finally ending the war. God knows what you're doing. You're fostering revolutionary spirit. I wish there was an ideology thing so I could actually see what ideologies they are. The whole alignment thing doesn't even work. Indonesia is doing light operating things, but you're allied to the US, so no one really cares. Don't care about you or any of you. Pakistan is... oh, there's a Kazakh Republic thing. Yeah, Indian relations. There's pro-American. You're going to restore democracy, that's and changing NATO to a nationalist party, that's a new thing. Anyway, time passed. I think when I get to 1955, I'll do this video done. Yeah. Prepare for succession. Stalin is growing old and is expressing a desire to step down and retire from his tenure as General Secretary. We must make all haste to prepare for transition and appoint a possible successor to replace him. Will be Lazar Kaganovich, before a power grab takes place. Yeah, so it's not actually part of your thing, that's it. Oh, you're gonna try to legitimize yourselves. You gotta find... I didn't even know this tree existed. You're gonna mythologize Quasi Muhammad. I have no idea that is. Just an Academy of Music and Science and Dan. Open archaeology sites, that's gonna be get a UN thing. Also, you're gonna change your name to the Kurdish Workers' Party. Instead of the... I think your name is already the Kurdish Workers' Party, actually. Yeah, it's already the Kurdish Workers' Party, so technically you shouldn't. That's kind of stupid now that I think about it. Why isn't it already the Kurdish Workers' Party, even though the Kurdish Workers' Party isn't been found yet? The Treaty of San Francisco. Today, the Treaty of San Francisco was officially signed by 48 nations between Japan and the Allied powers. This treaty says the official end of Japanese position as the imperial power, comprehensive aid to Allied citizens and former prisoners of war who have suffered Japanese war crimes during World War II, an end to the American-led Allied post-war occupation of Japan and the return to sovereignty. This treaty may made extensive use of the United Nations Charter and Universal Declaration of Human Rights to enunciate the Allies' goal. From the start of the conference, the Soviet Union expressed vigorous and vocal opposition to the draft treaty text prepared by the United States. This treaty also introduced the problem of legal status of Taiwan due to a lack of specificity as to what country Taiwan was to be surrendered. And hence some supporters of Taiwan's independence argue the sovereignty of Taiwan is still undetermined. Access for the UN Charter. The tobacco crisis. On July 1935, the Secretary of State for Colonies Oliver Lyttelton mentioned in passing a possibility of unification and federation of the British East African Territories. This emancipation sparked distressed protests on the Ministry of Uganda, stating that they felt the idea of integration would destroy their culture and their way of life. Though the governor of Uganda, Sir Edward Cohen, assured them that no decision would be made without consulting with Uganda. Many political figures feel like the cat is out of the bag, and many call for Ugandan independence. So, Uganda is going to be independent soon. I wish it was Soviet aligned. So it's most likely you're going to get the Sir Cohen core forms. So it's going to either be basically seemingly is going to go historical, if I'm looking at this correctly. So it could either the Ugandan National Congress, so we get Idi Amin, or we could get Kabalyeka, which has its own thing, or the Democratic Party. I'm pretty sure Quebec is going to win, but who knows? Probably not. Announce Stalin's retirement. The time has come to publicize Comrade Stalin's retirement to the world and out to our people. Our new leader will be Lazar Kaganovich. Preparing Stalin's successor, earlier this week the Soviet government announced the official transfer of power from the current General Secretary of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Joseph Stalin, to the incumbent Lazar Kaganovich, which will be held on the 20th Communist Party Congress in Moscow. The preparations for the event have already started as the largest ever military parade, as well as the audience in the history of the Soviet Union, is expected in the Red Square. All this came as a surprise to the Soviet Union, is expected in the Red Square. All this came as a surprise to Western observers who expected Stalin to serve as General Secretary till his death. After surviving a stroke in 1953, his health deteriorated heavily, and many expect his death to come sooner rather than later. How sad to see a great leader go. Well, they have to go eventually. Rest in peace, Franklin. Continue to watch the good sound like Hawk. You've already lost to Arakan. You're promoting pro-leftist paramilitaries. You also established the Workers' Youth Organization. Vietnam is... Why are you at war with Britain and the entire NATO? You're also doing present classification, and your friend is also at war with them too, and you're both allied. you're doing surrendered small amounts of heavy artillery, heavy weaponry. You're wrecking bureaucracy. You're doing defensive positioning. You're getting the Mongolian Uyghur Treaty of Mutual Friendship. You're still doing the same thing as last time. You're just doing Hiroshima. Who knows who would win this time? It will either be the communists, because they've already won one election, the Socialist Party, which could happen, or the Liberal Party, which already won one. There's a focus for them to sign a peace treaty with Czechoslovakia. Anyway, we have to check out what you're constructing dry docks in Ardina. You're the same as last time. You're releasing political prisoners. You're banning state enthusiasm. You're electrifying campaign. You're getting a navy. You're opposing Nazi remnants and imperial collaborators. You're increasing censorship. You're Sovietizing Austria. You're getting MiGs, and you're doing anti-West propaganda. Yeah, when 1955 hits, this video will end. Before Marcos Vafiadis, famed communist Greek resistance and military leader, was ousted from the party and is said to be in exile. His removal followed an intense investigation of party leaders. This was accused of harboring divergent revolutionary views due to the threat he posed to the internal security of the revolutionary path of Greece. He has been voted out of the party. Marcus Vafiadis, fearing arrest, fled to Moscow, where might be accusations against him. His removal was severely weakened the position of his supporters in the party, unexpected. You're also going to move your capital back to Constantinople. Yeah! Pardon me. Joseph Stalin has announced his retirement as General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. The world was shocked today when news from Kremlin emerged that Joseph Vasilyevich Stalin, General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union since 1922, announced his retirement, having assumed leadership upon the death of founder Vladimir Lenin in 1922. Stalin's idea of socialism in one country combined with the 5-year plan of industrialization, creating a strong communist country with a centralized commanding economy. Since his ascension, communist movements have sprung up across the world, and the Soviet Union is now considered a superpower within the likes of the Western allies. World leaders expressed their shock over private conversations in the White House and intend to demonstrate a mixture of relief and concern. How unfortunate. I love Lazar Kaganovich. We're not getting your focus tree just yet. We still need to wait till 1956 in 2 years. So deport treacherous elements in Germany. The rebellious bourgeoisie individuals in East Germany have dared to rebel against our authority and be punished severely, being deported to remote areas of Kazakhstan for the rest of their miserable lives. After that, we will probably restructure the Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic, cooperating the northeastern bits into the Russian Federative Socialist Soviet Republic, deploying Chechens to Tajikistan, creating a separate Soviet Republic in North Kazakhstan and Akmola for the German Soviet Republic, transferring Kyrgyzstan to the Karakalpak Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic, to the Kazakh Socialist Republic, get a no. Pretty sure I'm not going to do all these in this video, but then to focus on no check to get the established the Korean Social Republic, because screw it, it seems fun. You managed to stem control of your entire country collapsing. I still don't know how you're at war with the whole country. So, poor decisions. You're executing Chairman Sick. The peaceful revolution has not been added. Sadly. Still haven't dissolved Zaibatsu either. You're still doing Hiroshima. Although we got more influence in your region. Some restored democracy in your place. At least not yet. You're still doing the same thing as last time. You're doing last time. Everyone's doing essentially the same as last time. Except you're getting an air defense force. And you're getting the Treaty of Zugorno-Zilek. The Greek capital moved to Constantinople. Greece opened its first government session in Constantinople, officially moving the capital of the country to the city. The Democratic Republic of Greece, or the LDE, received the city and its surrounding area following the partition of Turkey by the Soviet Union. The shift of the capital appears to be the final step of the integration of these lands. For the Greek communists, the return of Constantinople as a city symbolized the unification of Greece and its people under socialism. Interesting. Well done, Lazar. The formation of CETO. During the Council of Ministers meeting in Bangkok, the Southeast Asian Trading Association, or CETO, the frog down, was formally established. The organization is a consequence of the recently signed Manila Pact, which called for its signatures to form CETO in order to bolster bilateral ties and encourage collective security in the face of increasing regional communist aggression. The organization will be headquartered in Bangkok and hopes to attract more anti-communist regional states. Even though Bangkok is controlled by communists, I still do not know how that works. The United States are major supporters of the effort and express hopes for the organization to emerge as a regional NATO. Although plans for cultural and military exchange are discussed, the meeting did not agree on establishing any joint military command, but the Chinese government expressed reservations about organizations, calling it pointless imperialist attempt to destroy Chinese revolution. Another NATO! Mass deportations of German Democratic Republic after the failed uprising. After, air quotes, failed uprising. Reports from the German Democratic Republic talk about the heartbreaking scene of large groups of Germans being forcibly put on trains and headed to Soviet Central Asia. These mass deportations were ordered by the Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin following the failed anti-Soviet uprising. The Soviet government is expected to send suspected anti-Soviet activists to northern Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic, where Stalin had expelled Volga Germans at the outbreak of World War II. The mass deportations are being widely condemned as non-communist in the non-communist world, but the Soviet government remains committed to its policy. Another Soviet controversy. Yeah, technically I will say surrendered, since Thailand is... Well, I mean, he says he's going to retire, he hasn't retired, but leadership is definitely shifted. So should I do... do reconstruction of the Kazakh SSR. The Kazakh Soviet Station provides needing of reform restructuring, particularly in the influx of people into the region. Apparently, Kazakhstan is a pretty empty country. Fun fact. The 12th State of Rouge. All since the acceleration in Algeria was been cut short after several brutal and direct attacks by an insurgent group against French interests in the region. The Front de Liberation Nationale, the National Liberation Front, has claimed full responsibility and is broadcasting their list of demands, which include full independence and the withdrawal of all French assets from the region. The French government has denied the legitimacy of the FLN and its National Liberation Front and is expected to increase French military presence in the region. Another long and brutal war. Mass resignations in the military. After recent weeks, the military has seen a spatter of resignations following the hearing held into the loyalty of the officers. It appears many of the military, fearing deeper investigations would affect morale and the organization, chose to resign instead of dragging the process out. Several senior generals and admirals have resigned and taken an early retirement. The Pentagon has announced new directives to more streamline investigations about process of removing subversives from the ranks. The military review reports are also being updated to more efficient. Many retired officers have condemned the political interference. I think I broke my spit accidentally while I was talking while my board, so couldn't out. Many retired officers condemned the political interference in the military and fear it would take time for the military to restore the efficiency of the fighting force. This is two contradictory statements. America approves Vietnamese reunification from election. The United States has agreed to plans for a reunification election in Vietnam and came out recently signed Geneva Accord. Agreement came in after assurances from the Communist North for elections will be overseen by international observers. Our agreement means the South Vietnamese will have to go along with it despite their reservations. CIA also claims it's unsure how the election will turn out. Regardless, denying the election may make the Southern government unpopular and turn the Vietnamese public of voice in support of the communists who claim to represent the nation. Progress. America backs South Vietnamese rejection of the Geneva Accords. The United States backs the South Vietnamese in its rejection of the Geneva Accords. The South Vietnamese believe the agreement gives the communist base from which to undermine the government. More importantly, the proposed rules for a reunification election are not tenable, and as the communists will clearly manipulate the vote in favor of vote, always so the CIA agree that the assessment of the South Vietnamese is not isolated. We are wholly supporting their stance, and the communists will have to make a proper compromise to guarantee no supposed lasting agreements is achieved. Concerning the execution of Cho Man-sik, Korean nationalist Cho Man-sik was executed in Pyongyang. An adherent nationalists may view him as a prominent rival for power in North Korea. His execution is seen as a victory for Kim Il-sung and his supporter. Cho Man-sik struggled to establish himself after World War II after his refusal to accept the trustee of the Korean Peninsula cost him any potential Soviet backing. Cho Man-sik is well known for his embrace of non-violent resistance to Japanese rule, but his failure to embrace Soviet ideals led him to his detention and eventual execution. Rest in peace. Let's check on what the rest of the world is doing. You're just decreasing agricultural production. You're preparing mountain warfare. Discussing. You're launching political repression campaigns. You're doing Soviet funding. You're getting Soviet AK-47s. You're increasing imperial output. You're spying naval force headquarters. You're encouraging anti-Semitism. And you're supposed to be anti-fascism too. Suspicious. You're monetizing machine tooling, you're getting rapid industrialization, you're investing in heavy industry, you're creating the inner German border. Alright? You're joining Comic-Con, cool. You're rebuking Soviet unification activists, you're getting heavy industry and stuff. You're launching a new show trials. You're still doing Hiroshima. Oh my god. You're emulating Mao, your distance. Trying to distance yourself from the communist movement in North Vietnam. I think the leader for South Vietnam and Japan are the same guy. How long is that? Why is it 150 days? I know that some focuses are like 70, but you usually forget about them. This is 150. Last I checked, I think most of these are only 50 days long. So, no idea how that thing happens. Pardon me, by the way, for having fought. Burma, you're promoting Burmese socialist realism. Gotta say, well done for actually winning that. I've never actually seen the communists actually take over Burma before. First actual victory. Still haven't restored democracy in your country. France is facing the rally of the French people. Jean-Paul David, it's not even a French name. Which church was still in power? He was power during the 50s. Everything seems to be fine there. The fascists, or third positionists, and phalangists technically, in Spain. Portuguese Lusitanianists in Portugal. Nothing I can do there. Nothing I can do there. For some reason they're still... Surprisingly, colonialism is still somehow very popular. Anyway, continue to watch Kurdistan like hawk. Incorporate northeastern Kazakhstan into Russia. The northeastern Kazakhstan is sparsely populated but with a Russian majority. We shall simply add this territory to Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. the ep7 light machine gun. Hungarian anti-Semitic campaign. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism is rising amongst Hungarians. On the surface, this appears strange considering the communist regime is long linked. Traditional anti-Semitic traits were fascist regimes like Nicholas Hoffi. Nicholas Hoffi wasn't fascist. Technically, he was a monarchist. Technically, he was an independent and an admiral. Ironically, Hungary didn't have an ocean. Soviet Union long argued that all peoples were victims of fascism in the last war. Those who emphasize the suffering of the Jews during the Holocaust are seen as nationalists acting against the socialist unity. Hungary has followed this lead and has cracked down on reports regarding Holocaust in the country. Hungary and any activists for rehabilitating Jewish victims are also being targeted. Zionists is accused of encouraging nationalism and division as well. Those supporters are being suppressed by Hungarian government. Concerning Mustafa II is exiled. After the Kabaka crisis continued to spiral in Uganda, the British colonial administration decided to exile Ugandan King Mustafa II to silence his wars against the proposed East African Federation. While British authorities had hoped this would calm the situation, it is appearing to have the opposite effect. Sir Cohen, the governor of Uganda, has wanted the new law selected, however Uganda is refusing to comply. Interesting. Transfer of West Kazakh SSR, West Kazakh Socialist Republic, Western Kazakh Socialist Republic, I can't speak today, to Russia. After an extraordinary session, the Soviet Union announced the transfer of the Western Kazakh Socialist Republic to the Russian Socialist Republic. This is a major step in the recent Soviet initiative to reorganize Central Asia. Territorial exchanges and Polish transfer are part of a concerted effort to make the Soviet Socialist Republic more emphatical, homogeneous, and reduce the prospect of future ethnic or cultural conflicts in the area. The territory consists of large Russian majority population and fit with the policy. Although the decision is being widely praised across the tightly controlled Soviet press, the move will likely lead to a disruption in the region amongst the populations being directly affected. Interesting. Established the German SSR. After having deported up to 1 million East Germans accused of treason, revolutionaries simply give them their own Soviet Socialist Republic, the German Soviet Socialist Republic in Kazakhstan. And two of the regions we now control. Not that one. West Kazakhstan and Akamoa. North Kazakhstan and Akamoa. This is gonna get weird real quick, I bet you. This is also all the Soviet republics. Very cool. Your emerging Kurdish independence movements. The Turkish war, for the first time in a month, the sun has set on a peaceful Ankara. General Secretary Safik Hussein has announced to the world that order has been completely restored in the nation's capital. Stability has been restored thanks to the brilliant tactics resolved by the propaganda minister Guzendino and her friend and Nazim Hikmet. Two artists turned revolutionaries secured the city without firing a shot by making strategy due to concessions with individual writing groups. The success of the strategy has given the TKP the officials the confidence to release a barrage of human rights protection, including the complete freedom to strike and the right to a legal defense in court. Bal expressed criticism within the state. Progress. Now you're studying our own doctrine whilst also going ironically against our own doctrine. 500 IQ play, I tell you. 500 IQ play. And since Imranu is still technically alive in this situation, technically you can get Ismet Inanolu as a communist leader, as a giant roll around. Oh, I really doubt it. If you do it, it would be very funny. I'm hoping to get Svek Sururi, although I will take Nazim Hikmat. He literally did put down the whole revolt. So you're studying our doctrine, your forced left-wing party members emerge, you're agricultural yield, you're doing industrial growth, you're doing industrial stuff, you're expanding the Dobrosha shipyard, you're preparing the Wardenburg trials, you're eliminating remaining fascist collaborators, you're emphasizing infrastructure construction, you're getting the Action Ungenseite, you're getting the fourth progress of the PPR, which technically it will be the PZPR. My thing. You're getting state unions, you're beginning desalinization, you're getting the threats of food crisis, you're getting the structure of the Workers' Party, you're still doing Hiroshima, you're calling Southern Comrades, you're calling international workers, you're promoting party stability. You still haven't abolished the monarchy, although you have banned all parties and done that. Probably you are abolishing the monarchy, or yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only thing you actually can do, so I hope to see that soon. You guys might need to deal with the Ikhwan rioting. You got a lot of newspapers. Anyway. Well, getting emergency irrigation of Arabic. So, right, I need to do this. Deport Chechens to Tajikistan. All members of the Chechen minority located in the Union and smaller Socialist republics will be deported to the Tajik Socialist Republic, where they will live for the rest of their lives. So, we're going to Soviet Unity. It's not there. Oh, it says it's here in this, it's not there in reality. Damn these modern things. And that's okay. I'll do these things too because I guess they're important. Then it's completely over. The transitional government of Egypt has abolished the monarchy. The rule of King Farouk's son, King Fahd II, was short-lived, as his appointment was only a ruse to appease the British. Gamal Abdel Nasser has been appointed as Deputy Prime Premier, and General Naguib has been appointed the first president. With the abolition of the monarchy came the new found constitution of the Republic of Egypt. The constitution has promised secularism, civil rights. There are, however, many individuals who were loyal to King who are angry, and they will no longer receive benefits and spoils from the King. Angry about the former officers and royalists, the Muslim Brotherhood is staunchly opposed to secularization and the new republic, and may cause issues in the new republic if not dealt with. The Waldenberg trials, a series of trials held with mysterious disputes and presumed death of Raoul Waldenberg. Waldenberg was a Swedish diplomat and architect who was played later on in raiding the rescue of thousands of Hungarian Jews by providing safe havens and protective passports. Following the liberation of Budapest by Soviet forces, Waldenberg disappeared, and many suggest he died in Soviet custody. However, the Hungarian government started the trial to prove that Waldenberg did not have been murdered by the Soviets. Instead, the trial argued that it was a group of Budapest Jews and former members of the fascist regime who carried out the murder of Waldenberg. All of the suspects were convicted during the trial, although many international observers decried these decried them as victims of the show trial. Many note the trial a convenient way for the communist regime to downplay any Soviet involvement instead of blaming fascists and Hungarian Jews. And instead of blaming fascists and Hungarian Jews, both groups be targeted by the state. Interesting. So, I'll call this a Jew. But before then, I'll just go over what all our allies and stuff are doing. So in Kurdistan, we're getting emergency irrigation to the Arab Plateau. I'm probably going to, if I go down abandoned national dreams, I'm going to stop them and put them back on ignore Safiq Hussain's advice, because would you believe this man? Anyway, you're doing the same as last time. You're establishing a ministry of culture. You are arresting Success Sisu, even though you literally just rehabilitated him like an hour earlier. Genius IQ, people. Genius IQ. You're empowering people militias, you're investing in hydroelectric dams, you're increasing state security, you're getting a Hungarian new economic policy. You're eliminating remaining fascists like last time, you're expanding weapon production, you're still doing the same thing as last time, you're debating executive powers. Over here, you're still doing the thing as last time. Yeah, the Corolla finished Soviet Socialist Republic. In China, they're still doing the food crisis, you're still doing the structure. You are about to finish Hiroshima. You're getting a landlord classified, you're doing agrarian reforms. You're breaking patriarchal traditions. I have no idea if there's any other communist nations. It's probably not. No. That is 007, not a Brazilian socialist called Joan Mangabeira. Oh, very funny. No. It's the US. No. That's the UK. No. hope for communist, the Cuban Revolution. Nothing there. Yeah, nothing there. Nothing there. Oh, Trujillo's son's in power. Well done. Haven't got over the throne yet. Kind of still around. There's no independent, well, air quote independent, new independent countries in Africa. The Congo Free State is basically done its treaty till 1956. You do have stuff to go down, but it seems you're going the normal path, so we'll probably see the Idi Amin maybe. You're gone neutral. You seemingly are fine. You haven't got a coup yet, because if things are going the way I expect them, there is a coup that happens by 3 officers in Sudan. Libya is definitely not communist, at least not yet. The foreign protection thing is going to definitely do them. The FLN is existing, so possible things may happen in Algeria. Is there actually a thing for Algeria? No? Okay. Oh, there it is. You still need to do the EDS and increase corporate tax rates. But that's value have nothing. So yeah, as one communist nation I know of, I've finished sovereignty. If you ran, you will eventually die and you can either get a communist or kill bit. 1956. So yeah, there's no known communists. We'll probably get communist Afghanistan. I know if you manage to keep Kurdistan alive, which I'm planning to do, they get the aftermath after the drought where they can either double down or reset the nation. Where they can either give us a bunch of Iraqis for some reason, which I don't even know why we want, and send a bunch of Syrians to us, or they could double down on the Soviet model, and with the second drought coming in, and the drought getting spoiled. Oh, it doesn't really matter because either way they can go down here. We can and basically help them try and conquer Iran, which they will take Azerbaijan as their own, and we take Azerbaijan Shagai. That's why I have a bunch of troops on the Iranian border. Specifically this one, because we can't do anything with the other one. If there's more content of that and we get to invade Iran fully, I am willing to do so. Just saying. Anyway, this video is going on way too long, but I just felt like making it, man. I just felt like it. It's one of those days. If I feel one of those days, I'll just make a video. That's why I randomly have a bunch of Helldiver videos which you may or may not like. Pardon me. Thank you for watching them if you did. But yeah, I do want to spruce up my channel to have more than just Hoi4 stuff, which I have tried to do. Due to me not having Microsoft on my new computer, you probably won't see a few PowerPoints for a while. But yeah, we're dealing with that situation as we speak, so that should be done eventually. But till that's done, you'll probably see a pretty good show. I'm going to post 2 more Helldivers video. You can watch them or not. Preferably do so because they have my analytics, but you don't have to. But anyway, thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Hope to see you again. This is Martin Limited signing off. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Bye.